I started lifting 8 years ago, and look at my physique. This is disgusting. What is this?
What the hell is even that?
Yo, he said it, not me. Let's keep watching though. Now, it's been a while since I actually made a reaction-based video on this channel, but I came across this video created by Paulo Guga, where he made a video titled, "Why I Look Terrible After 8 Years of Lifting." And it got me really curious because I myself have been training for the last 8 years, and it was a good title, I'm not gonna lie. It grabbed my attention, and I figured it might grab your attention too. But more importantly, just lifting for this long, and that thoughts sometimes come across my mind as far as like, okay, maybe my physique doesn't look like how I expected it to be, or my strength hasn't been proceeding the way I want it to be as well. So this is something that I sometimes actually experience myself, especially back in the day when I first started training, like year 2, 3, and 4. I would definitely say it's much less occurring now. I'm more content with my physique. I'm more content with my strength, but I'm still trying to pursue my specific goals. So yeah, I think even in the calisthenics world, I wouldn't really say I'm the best person when it comes to the physique. Definitely not the best person when it comes to strength as well. But you know, I'm curious to know about what another content creator has to say about this particular topic. Just what exactly can go into the mind of somebody who's been training for nearly a decade, and why is it that they still think that their physique looks terrible?
I kill myself in training. How is it possible that I can look this bad? There's teenagers on TikTok who look better than me. The reason why I look bad isn't so obvious. It isn't because my training sucks or my genetics are terrible. Once you figure it out, not only will you cure your own body dysmorphia, but you'll see the entire fitness industry in a new light. At the end of the video, I'll give you a test to figure out whether you're actually small or if it's just your messed up body image. Like most lifters, my body dysmorphia can change drastically. One moment I look like Superman, and the next I'm disgusted. Still, we must answer the question, why do I look so bad when I've been lifting for so long? Lighting is the first of many factors which will obviously make a huge difference. I purposely tried to find the worst location for these videos. I'm doing the opposite of every influencer, precisely trying to locate the shittiest lighting. These pictures were taken 1 minute apart, and it looks like I lost 20 pounds of fat. The way you position your body makes a huge difference. Posing is all about illusion, smoke and mirrors. Maybe you press your arms against your rib cage. Maybe you slightly twist to the side for a smaller waist. Maybe you flex so hard you nearly give yourself a stroke. You're trying to look your best in that moment, but it's not indicative of your actual physique. This is so common in the fitness industry.
Now, a quick comment about this segment of the video, but I did notice when I first started training, I did used to always want to pose. I did want to always look at myself in the mirror while working out, especially when I'm doing like, you know, accessory movements like dumbbell curls, tricep extensions, a lot of raises, things of that nature. I always see myself kind of glued to the mirror while working out, not from a perspective of like trying to see how I'm actually training, if I'm doing the exercise correctly, but more so from a vanity perspective, more so to kind of just see how I look, you know, that pump, that physique. How do I look while doing this movement? How does my bicep look while doing this movement? And again, it's not from a, you know, exercise critique perspective, a technical form perspective. Is literally just from a vanity perspective. And keep in mind, like, this used to be something that I would do in like public gyms, right? And the question that kind of came across my mind over time was, like, why am I posing like this deliberately? Who am I doing it for? What's the purpose? Especially whenever you're doing these poses like without clothes on in public, like, it kind of just gave me a reality check of like, all right, what am I doing? Whenever you're in between the sets or at the end of the workout and you're out here just like, you know, taking off your shirts, you're out here pretty much just not wearing much, and you're flexing and you're posing in a public setting at the gym, deep down, you can't lie to yourself and be like, okay, I'm not trying to impress myself for somebody else. Deep down, you are to some degree seeking some kind of validation. Deep down, this is a trait of pride, right? So it kind of just hit me whenever I start to slowly gravitate towards, you know, not doing that. Just asking myself these simple questions like, okay, what am I doing this for? What's the purpose? All right, outside of me filming a particular exercise to showcase like, hey, I'm trying to work out the biceps, so I got to record the biceps, right? But outside of that, what's the purpose? Because think about it this way. If you value your physique a lot, all right, and you are constantly trying to show it off. Now, on the flip side, you might definitely value your money in the bank account. Now, would you show it off? And it's the same parable, the same example as those people who kind of flex their money on Instagram or Snapchat, right? It just looks cringe. Like, what's the point of you doing that? Like, what's the purpose other than trying to impress somebody, whether it's a guy or girl, whether it's trying to inflate your status, your ego, whatever it might be. It's just unnecessary. And that's kind of the same mentality that I start to have in the gym when it comes to posing, when it comes to showing off the physique. I've started to just consider that my body is a precious commodity, and precious things should be kept private, just like your money. No cap.
Of course, you're also going to get a boost just from the pump. Think about this. We've normalized hiding your physique, aka using a pump cover, so no one has to know what you look like in a normal state. If you get used to only seeing yourself with a pump posing in gym lighting, then you're not going to like the way you look in a regular state. And finally, body fat percentage. Having a high body fat is like wearing a thick blanket that covers you up. The fatter you are, the more smooth and rotund you'll look, even if you have a lot of muscle hiding underneath. All of this is how I made you think I have a shitty physique. I basically did what everyone else in the fitness industry does, but in reverse.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, bro has a really good physique, and it really goes to show how lowering your body fat percentage can really change the perspective of how muscular you look. And this is something I always tell my clients or my community members. If you want to appear more muscular, the first thing you have to question yourself is, what is your body fat percentage looking like? If it's higher than 18%, then you definitely need to bring it down. That's like the first step you need to start looking at yourself. Now, obviously, if you don't have much muscle to begin with, then you want to build muscle, be in a slight caloric surplus, enter a lean bulk. That's fine. But majority of people, well, not majority of people, but those who I've came across with, they wanted to look muscular. They have muscle already, but they just have a lot of excess body fat. So that's kind of the quickest way to just look more muscular, is to just trim down to some degree your body fat percentage to around anywhere between 12 to no more than like 16, 17% body fat. So that range right there is going to help you maximize your aesthetics to look more muscular.
I've noticed a concerning trend on the rise, and it's starting to get talked about more and more. Physique inflation refers to the rising body standards in social media to the point where a great physique 10 years ago can be considered average or even bad by today's standards. Here's the perfect example. Someone will post a video and say that they've been lifting for X years. Inevitably, they'll get a whole bunch of comments like this. In reality, this guy has a physique better than 99% of the population. If he got a pump and posed under some good lighting, these same people would be complimenting him. I think anyone can look good if they train consistently for a long time and always try to learn more. In just 1 to 5 years of lifting, you can basically surpass every normal person that doesn't train. But even among the top 5%, if you continue to grind in the gym, eventually you'll become an extreme outlier. And yet, many of us choose to watch the influencers that have the top 0.00001% physique. They'll only post videos under good lighting, and many of them take drugs. And that's why you'll get comments like this about a guy who objectively has a good physique. If you put 1,000 random men in a room with this guy, very few would look better than him. Never forget, fitness influencers decide what they show you. They're always going to post videos that paint them in a good light. Literally. It's very rare for people to post a genuinely candid photo. Simply put, it's bad for business. Even for me, it's actually very hard to show you some of these pictures. It hurts. Feels like I'm losing credibility. But this is how everyone looks when they're relaxed and bulked up. It's not just me. Because of physique inflation, people who used to be considered jacked are now small.
Now, one real statement that my guy just said was how in about 5 years of training, you will essentially have a physique better than the average person who trains. And this is 100% true, especially if you're ensuring that you're training within the correct intensity, you're getting sufficient volume, training frequency, you're being more optimal with your exercise selection, you're choosing the right exercises that hits your targeted muscle groups. This part is really important because even when you're doing calisthenics, you got to make sure that you're not just doing movements that's going to be neglecting movements that aren't going to be necessarily hitting like the biceps, right? If you do pull-ups, yes, it does hit the back and a little bit of the biceps, but it's not going to really maximize the bicep stimulus, especially if you're someone who doesn't really see much growth with the pull-ups in regards to hitting your biceps. Some people, they are more naturally just favorable to growing so they can build muscle without really putting much emphasis by directly targeting that particular muscle group. But most people, don't have that gift, that genetical blessing, right? So you got to make sure that you're being careful with what exercises you're choosing. With calisthenics, it is very simple. You just pick the main movements such as pull-ups for your back, chin-ups for your biceps, dips for your chest and your triceps. And you want to just also isolate those muscle groups as well. So with the pull-ups, it's primarily hitting the back and the biceps. So you isolate with like the ring curls. Same thing with the chin-ups, it primarily hits the back and biceps as well, with the more emphasis on the biceps, but you still want to isolate the biceps, such as the ring curls. With the dips, it's hitting the chest and triceps, but you still want to isolate the neglected muscle groups, such as the triceps, the lateral delts, even the front delts too, with like movements such as the lateral raises, whether it's with dumbbells, whether it's with the rings, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of ways to kind of go about exercise selection. I don't want to make a whole video, or I don't want to make this video about getting into the details of that, but just know that picking the right exercises to ensuring that you're targeting the right muscle groups for the purpose of building muscle is literally the name of the game to optimizing your performance and not wasting time. Now, if you're interested in the top 6 exercises that help build the most muscle over the last 8 years of my calisthenics journey, then I actually have a free guide that walks into detail about those movements, how to do them, how to progress, what to look out for, all that good stuff. I'm going to be giving out to you for free, so just check the link in the description or check the pinned comments and it's going to be there. So let me know what y'all think. Hopefully y'all benefit from the guide, and let's get back into the video.
Jeff Nippard used to be known as the super buff natty that you can aspire to look like if you max your genetics. Today, in 2025, he's got the reputation of being like the small guy that gives good advice. Like, it's actually crazy. And what about Omar Isuf? I remember in 2018, he was getting fake natty accusations. In 2025, if you accused him of being fake natty, you would get laughed out the room. It's just crazy how quick things can change. If your feed is constantly showing you the best physiques in the world, your body dysmorphia might get worse. You spend most of your day outside the gym. You're not going to be posing under good lighting with a pump 24/7. This means your body fat will be the most important factor in determining how good you look. If you are very lean, you'll look your best shirtless or wearing a tank top. The downside is when you do put on clothes, you might not even look like you lift, especially if you get under 10%. If your shirts are a little baggy, you might literally look like a regular dude. But when you're bulked up, that's when you'll look really, really massive in a t-shirt, especially if it's tapered in the right places. The downside here is that you'll have less definition when you do take your shirt off. If you do have a lot of muscle though, that fat will be spread over a large area and give you that bear mode physique, which I think looks really good. I just finished a 2-year bulk, so that's my current physique. If I look at myself in the mirror with bad lighting, I'm absolutely disgusted. Hence the title of this video. But if you catch me in good conditions, even at the peak of my bulk, I don't look half bad.
All right, that's pretty much it. This is honestly a very thought-provoking video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it the same way that I did. If y'all want to see more content like this, be sure to follow me, man. I'm the Tough Fitness Guy out here. No cap.
Cobra Trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's number one out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.